what's up? It's Joe Raiti from Raiti's Rides. We're here at the 2023 Tokyo Auto Show. I think the biggest news has got to be coming from Nissan, and we're talking about looking at the future of performance, mobility, and technology. Starting off, I have the details on this future Hyperforce. So this is a Nissan Hyperforce. What I want to find out is this the next future GT-R? So let's talk about what we got going on here. The GT-R, such a historic nameplate in Nissan's lineup when you go all the way back to 1970. And it's fascinating because it wasn't the Japanese that gave the GT-R the name Godzilla. It actually was the Australians, because the car was so dominant when it was racing in the Australian Supercar series that the Australians gave it the nickname Godzilla. Now, when you look at that 1989 R32 GT-R, we had so much technology for the time. You had, of course, that all-wheel drive system. You had the four-wheel steering. You had that rear-wheel steer that really quickened up the steering. And then we can't forget the RB26, that 2.6-liter straight-six twin turbocharged power plant. That's where we came from. And you go R32, R33, the iconic R34. Today we still have the GT-R with the R35, but with this Hyperforce, very interesting when it comes to the style. Right away, that silhouette, it screams GT-R, but it also screams hypercar. And what hypercar is that part of the World Endurance Championship Series. That's their top class with the prototype cars. This, I could see going down the Mulsanne Straight at Le Mans. And it's fascinating because remember, it was just a few years ago when Nissan shocked the world and did something different with the GT-R name and that prototype class, where they actually had a front wheel drive setup. Now, with this Hyperforce, you're gonna have, of course, the availability of twin motors, motor up front to drive the front wheels, motor out back to drive the rear wheels. Performance is gonna be mind-blowing. We know that because we already know when it comes to EVs, the 0 to 60 is mind-blowing. I think the big question is, as we progress with EVs, is going to be range, because it's going to be that slippery slope balance, having the performance, but also having the range. Now, one thing I could definitely testify is that looking at the front of this, it's got a slippery shape, but it's also shaped to give us downforce. So they had to be careful not to create too much downforce, because remember, downforce is drag. Drag is going to give us less range. What they did was they tried to channel that airflow through the front of the vehicle, out the top nose, and down the side to help cut down on some of that drag. Another thing is, even though that wing is massive, that is a swan neck design, which cuts down on drag, but still gives you very efficient downforce. The biggest news is what's underneath. Having that underneath tunnel, and it's fascinating because technology like that, it may seem like it's been around a lot longer than you would think. It wasn't until the 80s in IMSA GTP racing where we saw the use of undercar tunnels being used for aerodynamic efficiency. And I remember the Nissan prototypes in the GTP class being so dominant, especially near the end of the GTP series before they killed it off in 1994. You see that technology. Now, back in the 80s and 90s, it was made out of aluminum. The monocoque was made out of aluminum. Well, guess what? The monocoque on this, the tub, what you're actually sitting in is all forged carbon fiber. So we're talking about cutting weight, we're talking about composite materials to help with the strength, but also be nice and light. And of course, the aerodynamic efficiency to bring us the performance, bring us what we need. What I want to do though is I don't want to do the funky chicken. Somebody actually bet me yen that I wouldn't do the funky chicken here. And I need to calculate exactly how much is yen. I don't think it's that much money. So I don't think I'm going to be doing the funky chicken. But what I'm going to do is we're going to open up the doors right like that. Let's open the doors and I want to show you inside this Hyperforce. Now we have the doors open on this Hyperforce. You could see just how the whole cabin area is all forged carbon fiber. Amazing what they've done with the interior, how the seats are actually molded into the actual chassis of the vehicle, the tub, the carbon fiber tub. From the back, the Nissan script, the GT-R round tail lights, and then the wheels, full carbon fiber. But you see on the inside and the doors closing, really sleek operation with this vehicle, and just the sheer length is mind-blowing in how they have it laid out. Really long wheelbase, and the fact that the front end with that massive carbon fiber splitter, you are utilizing a liquid cooled battery pack. And remember, this is 1,000 kilowatts of power, dual motor. You're looking at over 1,000 horsepower with this vehicle. Even the way they sculpted the sides for the aerodynamics, that's the key, is that it's not just about the style, it's about the aero. You'll notice on the tops of the fenders here, how you have those rises. That's gonna help channel air past the rear wing, and then the rear wing, being that swan neck design, cuts down on drag, but still gives you plenty of good downforce. I think the roof line is really where you see the R35 GT-R family resemblance there. The windshield looks like it's off a Le Mans prototype race car. The way that it's stretched out, the angle of it, the whole 9 yards, but really seeing the signature LED lighting, that GT-R badge, how it's illuminated there in the center, just floating, and then how those wheels are not only gonna be light because of the forged carbon fiber, but also generate air down the side of the vehicle. Very unique touches on this Hyperforce, and the way that they did all of the style, and then of course at the back of the car, the tunnel. I am so impressed with this carbon fiber tunnel and how air is gonna channel underneath it to make it stick to the road like Gorilla Glue. This is what we get to bring to you here at the Tokyo Auto Show. Now it's fascinating because remember, the GT-R has been around since 1970. It's fascinating to see where it started, where it went to, because obviously the R35 GT-R is still available, and where the future is taking us. They said, and when I say they, we're talking about Nissan, said they specifically looked at Gran Turismo and what would be a vehicle that they could bring to reality that kind of mimics that excitement from Gran Turismo. And I think they hit the nail on the head with this Hyperforce. I really think you could call this straight up the future GT-R, especially with the signature taillights. The way that they styled it, it looks like the taillight, like you could dive in there. It looks like that three-dimensional inward on the styling, and definitely the nice hard crisp edges at the back of the car and also on the side of the car really give it such a signature look, but also help with aerodynamic efficiency, because it's not just the power, but it's also the range. And having that battery pack nice and low is gonna give you good handling dynamics because of the lower center of gravity. And it's gonna be fascinating to see what this car does to the competition. Will other brands step it up? And it's interesting because I know a lot of times in the comments people say, oh, I think Nissan is going away. I think here at the Tokyo Auto Show, this is one of the major examples of how they are not. But let's go ahead and check out the Hyperpunk and the Hypertourer because they're being unveiled here at the auto show as well. Let's get to it. Guys, here we are now with the next of these amazing EV concepts that Nissan is bringing here at the Tokyo Auto Show. What you are seeing here is something that is being called the Hyperpunk. Now, what's interesting is that Nissan is understanding where the market is going and where they need to touch to not only get tried and true Nissan fans, but also new customers. And obviously new customers being younger customers, a lot of that has to do with social influencers, gaming, and everything in between. So this particular vehicle, being called the Cyberpunk, has that special touch. Now on the exterior, you'll notice how they're using LED lighting, just like we showed you over with the other vehicles, having that very unique LED style coming across the front, that new Nissan badge looking great, just fully illuminated. And then as we kind of work our way down, you'll notice just how much ground clearance we have. Now, what's really cool about this particular, and everybody's applauding for me, thank you, everybody. What's fascinating is that with this vehicle, it's a two-door. So a lot of times we look at four-door crossover SUVs, this being a two-door. Look at the way they work that LED lighting, thank you everybody. The LED lighting, you'll see the aeroflow from the front of the vehicle coming over the glass and canopy. And then of course, checking out the wheel and tire. You're looking at 23-inch wheels on this thing. Very unique style to that fender flare. And then of course the Nissan. I really think that this is a new direction with a lot of brands, especially Nissan, taking advantage of having that name illuminated from the side. But like I was saying, this car being a two-door crossover, the doors will open up, and in a second I'll have those doors open up for you, but we have our Hyperpunk name on that lower portion. And then coming to the rear, this is where things get sporty and sleek. Coming off the back of the vehicle, you got the Nissan name, illuminated bright LED, and then just like up front, I love the way they curve the lower area to give you that nice sporty style. But let's see if we could get the door open and I could show you inside the Cyberpunk. All right guys, it's not who you know, it's what you know. We were able to get the doors open on this Hyperpunk, and what's really awesome about it is how the doors open give you great access in and out. You can see the direction that Nissan is looking towards when it comes to interior screens, steering setup, all of those fine touches. Of course, being an EV, you have that flat floor. Love the way they work the pedals into that nice arrangement, and then very artistic waterfall to that center console area with room in the rear. And then of course you have these very sporty seats in that red sort of microfiber finish to them with the interior LED lighting. But guess what? It's not just about going with the sporty style. We also have a Tourer that's going to blow your mind. So if you're ready, let's go check out the Hyper Tourer for your family truckster needs. All right guys, the last key piece of this puzzle, it's not just about, like I said, performance. It's not just about the youth. It's also about the ultimate and family hauling. So you'll notice with this Hyper Tourer, very unique. It looks like a Japanese super train. Love the way they're working the LED lighting. That Nissan badge almost seems like it's just floating in space. And the way that they did that lower bumper area, very, very nice touch with the Hyper Tourer name. As we come around the bend, like I said, the sleek shape, it looks like it's going 100 miles an hour just sitting there. On the inside, you're gonna have plenty of room. And the great news is we could have the doors open on the other side to open up the doors to let you see in. As we're working our way around the back, all that Nissan lighting, and then we're actually gonna have the doors open to really showcase what's going on. But you'll notice that flared fender style. Check this out, this is really wild. Look at how you have that instant access and all of this space to not only get you where you wanna go, but also do it in comfort, style, and really just be that unique setup of a driving experience. But it's vehicles like these at the Nissan booth. I want to focus on a couple more that comes with electrification and where the brand is going. Let's go ahead and check out some of the other electrified Nissans at the Tokyo Auto Show. All right guys, it's been an electrifying time here at the Tokyo Auto Show. Very interesting what the different brands are bringing to the table, but it's even more interesting what Nissan is bringing, especially because we were able to show you the Hyperforce, the Hyperpunk, and finish off with that family truckster known as the Hyper Tourer. But let me know in the comment section, do you think that right now we're seeing the future? Like I have a big old crystal ball and I'm sitting here rubbing it in front of everybody because, you know, sometimes guys got to do what a guy's got to do. Am I showing you the future of what the GT-R is going to be with this Hyperforce? Let me know if you're excited about that in the comment section. But if you're new to the channel, you're on your way out, hit that subscribe button. I promise you it's worthwhile. Come back for more. If you are a subscriber, thank you for being part of the Raity's Rides family. Of course, we need to give it up to Lori Gibbons Raiti. She is breaking the mold here at the Tokyo Auto Show. Nobody moves like Lori does to show the angles. So show her some love in the comment section. Thank you, Lori, for all that you do. And just like always, guys, I'll see you on the next ride.